Right, well, end of a long week. I'm pinned in the corner doing this wiring on this Guzzi for about another 5 or 10 minutes. We've had a fair few through this week, as usual. We started the week off with a CCM 604 going out, which had been with us for a really long time, having a lot of work done, but I'll have that in a different post, I think. Bergman 125, we squeezed through for an owner. It was his daily rider, and his generator had failed, or it wasn't charging the battery, so we squeezed that one in to get him going again. We've had BMW F750 in through today for a pair of tyres. We fitted the big knobblies onto it. The owner's heading away into the Peak District, I think, this weekend for some fun. Probably some snowy fun, I would expect. And then my last job of the week is this Guzzi. So what it's done is it melted its original in. You can see all these sections here, all melted through. The starter motor, pre-engaged starter motor on these, which I'll detail in a sec, had stayed engaged in the engine while it was running, turned it into a very effective generator, and overcooked everything. So the owner found a new wiring harness for us through this section all the way through here. That's replaced that. We fitted I'm in the middle of fitting this new Electric World regulator rectifier up here. We found fitted a new battery, and it'll improve the system throughout. With the new regulator rectifier on, this little unit is now obsolete. This was the field control unit. On the other side of the bike, the original regulator rectifier sat in here, so this wiring will be mainly redundant, but we'll keep it nicely out of the way so it can be reused if ever needed. I've had Oscar getting creative. He's made a little support bracket for this. The reason for remounting this up here is it gets much better airflow. So we're going to use this lug here. I think it was probably for the original coils, but it's had a coil set put on of a different bike. So we've got this spare lug. Oscar's made this little mount bracket. That's going to support the regulator off that. We need a very strong backplate on there to make sure that it shares the load easily and doesn't start to try and crack. These wires need wiring into these wires that I've cut off here for the field coils. That's the generator unit. And that should be it, really. There's a few other things to check on it, but we're nearly done. The electrics on these are iffy, to say the least. This is the fuse box for the bike. It's just kind of open. All it has is this little plastic cover sat over the top. So all these fuses corrode, the terminals go, and then you start to have very unreliable electrics. A few other bits and pieces like that on the bike that will renew and improve. But it should charge and it should work perfectly when it's all back together, and it should be more reliable than it was with the new units on. RVF400 there, just sat waiting for bits and pieces to be done. We've had to completely flush out the cooling system, which was full of crystals. That bike's not been run for a very long time, not quite sure how long, but I think we're talking over a decade. The carbs are sitting on a bench over there. They're getting kits and bits fitted. Radiator, upper radiator needed replacing because it's that corroded. Low radiator's not too bad. We're flushing out the cooling system. We've just done valve clearances on it. The boxes have just gone back on today. It's getting a good overhaul. We'll give it a start up to see if it works, and then we'll move on to doing the chassis. Main thing is let's make sure we've got a working engine. We have, let's see, CB750 engine there, which is an overhaul on a main bike, but that engine's getting cleaned up while its other bits and pieces are away. GT550, which we're a bit overdue on stripping down, unfortunately. Apologies to the owner there, but we will get that apart next week. GT750, sorry, not GT. Kawasaki 750 H2 engine there, having a gearbox rebuilt. Owner sourced us all the parts we need for that. It'll be going back together soon. Rather dirty, filthy worktop. I must get this tidied up by next week. And yeah, so plenty going on into next week, as usual. Plenty to keep us busy. We've got the edge of a Fireblade there that's just had its brakes done, and a Vespa scooter that we've just sorted a running issue out on, as well as all the others that are around the corner waiting for me to get to them. But it's keeping us going as always, and it's nice to be working on them. It's lovely to work on an old bike like this, get it back to running nicely, and hopefully enjoy a little bit of testing on it. They're a brilliant little engine to ride, these Guzzis. So I don't think the weather's going to play ball, but it very rarely does. Anyway, that is this week done. On to next week.